Hello, great to have you again in my channel. I will be speaking today on ISO 27001 controls. ISO 27001 is the international standard on implementation, design and implementation of information security management systems. And basically, uh, we have the part of the standard that is called Annex A. Now, the idea behind Annex A is that you have 114 controls that an organization is expected to implement. And of course, it's not all the 114 controls that might be applicable in the organization that we are looking at. So the standard recommends that you develop what is called statement of applicability. Statement of applicability. So the statement of applicability is to now list the controls that are relevant for that particular implementation and justify, and also the controls that are not relevant, then you also justify why those controls are not relevant for that particular implementation. So I want us to go through these 114 controls, even though I'll be doing it in different sessions. So we will start today looking at 8.5 information security policies. Now, information security starts with the board of directors of the organization. It starts with the leadership. So there's what we call governance of enterprise IT. All right, there's what we also call governance of information security. And that means that we have to separate governance from management, exactly what COVID 2019 is emphasizing. So the leadership of the business must demonstrate that leadership by giving direction to information security in the organization so that senior management, including IT leadership, will only be implementing the strategy that has been developed and approved by the board of directors. Okay, so it is very important that the board shows leadership. One of the ways the board can show leadership is through information security policies. The information security policies basically are the philosophy of management, intent of management, what management wants and what management does not want in a business. That is what is encapsulated in information security policy. 8.5.1, management direction of information security objective is to provide management direction and support for information security in accordance with business requirements and relevant laws and regulations. So the emphasis is alignment with the business goals of the organization. All that we're going to be implementing in terms of information security must be in alignment with the business, must be able to add value to the business. In fact, risk management, information security controls basically are all there just for one purpose, to enable the achievement of business policies. All right, business direction, right? So 8.5.1.1, policies for information security. A set of policies for information security shall be defined, approved by management, published and communicated to employees and relevant external parties. Of course, this particular requirement is relevant to all organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of whatever kind of business they are doing, either in the private sector or in the public sector. So we need a set of policies that will show management's intention, management philosophy when it comes to information security. Note that it must be approved by management. Any documentations that you have that is not approved by the highest level of management in that organization is not a policy. Maybe a draft, a policy draft, but definitely not a policy. It should be communicated to employees that are affected by them, even your vendors, your relevant customers, regulators, anybody that has access to your network, all right, needs to have an idea of what your information security policy is all about. 8.5.1.2, review of the policies for information security. The policies for information security shall be reviewed at planned intervals or if significant changes occur, to ensure their continued suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness. So having a policy is not the end of the journey, it's the beginning of the journey. So regularly you have to review the policies for currency. So there may be internal development, external development that may justify you updating your policy. All right. So at least annually, the information security policy must be reviewed. Note that it could be more than once in a year if there are triggers. Okay. Triggers in the regulatory environment, triggers in control failure, triggers in change of management, triggers in change of business direction. So we need to review policies as soon as we have triggers like that. But at least annually, you need to review your policy. So that is that on A.5, which is basically on information security policies. Now let's look at A.6, organization of information security. A.C.1 is on internal organization, and the objective is to establish a management framework to initiate and control the implementation and operation of information security within the organization. I'm sure you'll have heard of capability maturity model, CMM, or capability maturity model integration, CMMI, or process assessment model, PAM. So basically, you want to have a framework so that we have a system for operations, for management of information security in the organization. You don't want an ad hoc, sort of management of information security. You want the management of information security to be as matured, as predictable as possible. That is what A.6.1 is talking about. So we need to have A.6.1.1 is talking about information security roles and responsibilities. So we need to have a RACI chart. Who is responsible for information security? Who is accountable? All right, who is to be consulted? Who is to be informed as regards information security in the organization? So we need to have a chart, an organogram, all right, an additional chart that shows clearly the role of everybody in the organization. And note that despite the fact that we are going to have people responsible, accountable, to be consulted, and to be informed, we have to embed, we have to integrate information security into every process in the organization. That is the best way to make it work. But we must have people in the organization that are assigned the duties of making information security work in the organization. A.6.1.2, segregation of duties. Conflicting duties and areas of responsibility shall be segregated to reduce opportunities for unauthorized or intentional modification or misuse of the organization assets. I'm sure you'll have heard of triangle of fraud, and if you have not heard of it, I can just explain it briefly. Even though I will do a video on that very, very soon. So triangle of fraud is, what motivates people to commit fraud. You have pressure, you have opportunity, you have rationalization. So you have people in the workplace, they are under pressure, maybe they are into drug addiction, they are into gambling, they are into, they love high life, okay, that is beyond their earnings. People like that most likely will commit fraud in the organization. And what they will be looking for is opportunities. So opportunities are vulnerabilities, gaps that are left unattended to in the organization. For example, lack of segregation of duties. Okay, we are not using this privilege in assigning rights. People have rights beyond what they need in the organization. No supervisory control, internal audit is not active, no monitoring, audit log is not enabled, audit log is enabled but it's not being reviewed. So all these are vulnerabilities in the system that will now encourage somebody that is under pressure to commit fraud. And the last of the triangle is rationalization. So you have something to justify. Oh, they are not paying me well. Oh, the company can afford it. So they will rationalize. So what we are talking about in 6.1.2 is that we don't create opportunities in the organization. All right. So for people to be able to commit fraud. So roles should be assigned based on what they need to perform their job. Rights should be given only to people that need those rights to do their job. So you don't give people excessive power, excessive rights in the system. There should be a maker, there should be a checker, and so on and so forth. 8.6.1.3 is talking about contact with authorities. Appropriate contact with relevant authorities shall be maintained. So you need to know your external regulatory environment very well, in information security. All right. For example, in the banking industry, you need to know the directives from your central bank, directives from your deposit insurance corporation, directives from maybe in Nigeria we have EFCC, we have ICPC, okay, you have the Ministry of Finance, okay, we have NFIU. So you need to know, even the police, you have to have ongoing relationship with the police to maybe in case of fraud investigations and the rest. So you need to be able to note the environment that is the regulation environment that is applicable to your organization. Then 8.6.1.4, contact with special interest groups. Appropriate contact with special interest groups or other specialist security forums and professional associations shall be maintained. Now, what they are saying here is that you can't do it alone. All right, your internal resources can never be enough. Okay, no matter how good the people are in your company, people that are better outside there. And you can't go all alone. So you need to get professional associations to key into security organization. You have capacity lab and so many other interest groups that are doing vulnerability analysis here and there, performing ethical hacking. So they have facts. They are, you have people doing researches. So you have to key into their strengths. ISACA is there, Information System Audit and Control Association, and so many other organizations outside there that you can actually rely upon to get information that will be beneficial to the protection of information assets in your organization. Then 8.6.1.5, information security in project management. So information security shall be addressed in project management regardless of the type of project. All right, whether it's IT project, any kind of project. Now, what is a project? A project is simply a collection of activities with defined objectives that has a start date and an end date. That is what makes a project. It's a start date, it's an end date, we have a goal, and we have a collection of activities moving us towards the achievement of that goal. So we need to build information security into that project. For example, system development. You don't just go and hire, just go and get a vendor anyhow. There are processes, request for proposal, responding to the request of proposal, assessing the performance of the vendor making presentation, we look at security requirements as we are defining even requirements as per functionality. We are also focusing on security requirements. So what we're saying, everything you are doing in an organization, you need to look at security. You need to build security controls into your projects. Okay, so that's 8.6.1.5. Okay, then 8.6.2.1 is talking about mobile device policy, which is very relevant now in these days of bring your own device BYOD. So people are now connecting to the corporate network with their tablets, with their smartphones, and the rest. So this is saying a policy and supporting security measures shall be adopted to manage the risk introduced by using mobile devices. Of course, mobile devices must be pre-registered with the organization, right? We need to have a policy on the use of mobile devices in the organization. We need to be able to track the mobile device in case they get lost. We need to be able to do remote wiping in case they get lost so that we can protect the privacy of the organization. We need to be able to have a strong encryption on those devices. And then, of course, security awareness training for the workers that are using those mobile devices. 8.6.2.2, teleworking, very relevant post-COVID-19. We now have people, businesses now operating from houses, and that practice has come to stay. So we need to have a policy review. Okay, so the IS policy or the IS security policy pre-COVID-19 cannot work now. So we need to review and update it to now to take care of the fact that we have people working from home. So because of that, it means our risk has become distributed. Okay, so the threats will no longer just be targeting our corporate the head offices. Okay, they will also be targeting the homes of your workers. So you need to upgrade the skills, the competence, the awareness of your people as regards security awareness training, and of course, encryption technologies like virtual private network to ensure the integrity of communications between the home sites and the head offices. Okay, so a policy and supporting security measures shall be implemented to protect information accessed, processed, or stored at teleworking sites. Then we have A7 human resources security. This is very key. And a lot of time is overlooked. So you see, I tell my training sessions, I tell, look, every foster in the organization passed through HR. Every person that came into an organization and destabilized the business came through HR. In HR, there's what they call peer, previously unidentified recruitment error. So a lot of times, some of these guys that disrupt things in the business, some of them, the signals were there, but somehow HR did not pick it. For example, background check. Background check was not done. And we have people that are being assigned key roles like the database administrator, system administrator, okay, people in charge of security that have questionable backgrounds. So all these are things that controls that ISO 27001 is saying that HR needs to be up and doing to protect the business right from the gate. Okay, so 8.7.1 prior to employment objective to ensure that employees and contractors understand their responsibilities and are suitable for the roles for which they are considered. So 8.7.1.1 is talking about screening, background verification check. On all candidates for employment shall be carried out in accordance with relevant laws, regulations, and ethics, and shall be proportional to the business requirements, the classification of the information to be accessed, and the perceived risk. So you need to do this assessment of roles, of job roles. So the job roles that are highest risk that will expose the organization the most, you have to be thorough in your background check. That is what this particular requirement is saying. So do detailed background check. Do they have criminal records? What are the credit records? Do they have maybe a fraudulent background? What about the academic background? See people listing, listing on their CV schools that they never attended, degrees that they never got. So all these needs to be verified by HR. Then 8.7.1.2 terms and conditions of employment. The contractual agreement with employees and contractors shall state their and the organization's responsibility for information security. Everybody that is hired by the organization should know what they are expected to do when it comes to information security. So that should be enclosed in job manuals and other documentations relating to the job contract. 8.7.2.1 management responsibility. Management shall require all employees and contractors to apply information security in accordance with the established policies and procedures of the organization. So management must show leadership in requiring everybody to comply with the information security requirements of the business. 8.7.2.2 information security awareness, education and training. That cannot be overemphasized. You see, for example, social engineering, there is no technological defense that is as secure against social engineering attacks can to keep your people aware. So you need to have a manner of sessions, engagements to ensure that people know what they need to know to protect themselves and to protect the business from all these threats. Then 8.7.2.3 disciplinary process. There shall be a formal and communicated disciplinary process in place to take action against employees who have committed an information security breach. So there is an information security, there must be an implementation, or else people will not respect it. So the policy is there, but it is not being implemented. So there should be consequences for flouting the requirements of the information security policy. So management must be very strict here, okay? In terms of the control environment, everybody in the organization must know that there's a price to pay for dropping the ball, okay? Then lastly, 8.7.3.1, termination or change of employment responsibility. Information security responsibility and duties that remain valid after termination or change of employment shall be defined, communicated with the employee or contractor, and enforced. It is very important. Somebody has been disengaged from his place of work, or he has resigned, or he has been dismissed. Go for the user ID. The user ID must be disabled. Okay. I remember I was training a sister candidate some years ago, and as he was training, without even telling me, he just got the idea, just went back to his office, and as an auditor, he had access to the access control list, and you could see that a lot of people that have resigned in the organization, their user IDs were still active in the system. And he wrote a report on that, and they were able to correct that vulnerability. A lot of organizations today, you have people resigning. There's no synchronization between HR and IT. So you have people that have resigned, but their IDs are still active. What happens if those IDs are now used for fraudulent purposes? Who do you hold? Is it the staff that have left the organization, or how do you now determine who actually used that ID? So you need to ensure that staff that have resigned, their IDs are disabled, okay, deactivated from the system. And if there is a need at all, that even after resignation, that there will still be a need for the staff to be having contact with the network, that should be predefined and documented, and so that we will have appropriate security around such a situation. So we still have a long way to go in this series of ISO 27001 controls, looking at the Annex A of the standard. But I will be signing out for now. So in the next video, I will be looking at the part 2 of this series. So kindly subscribe to my channel. Thank you.